In this video, we'll download and install both the Unity game engine as well as the Visual Studio programming editor. Let's begin by visiting Unity's website at the following link. While here, you can download Unity by either clicking on the Download Unity button on the center of the page or Get Started button in the upper right-hand corner. There are a few additional items I'd like to show you, so let's go with the Get Started method. Click on the Get Started button. This will take you to a plan and pricing page. Notice that they have several versions available depending on what stage in the development process you are in. Though we'll not be doing this in this video, as a student you should select the Unity student version. This will provide you with a ton of additional resources you would ordinarily have to pay for, like expanded Get Cloud storage and Unity-made video tutorials. Since the student process requires you to submit your school ID and requires some validation, and to keep this tutorial short, we'll use the free Unity Personal Edition. Click the Start Creating with Unity blue button next to the Personal Edition. This will take you to the download page. Click on the Download for Windows button. This will download the Unity Hub Setup executable. Double-click this icon to begin the installation process. The installation process is fairly straightforward. If you agree with the terms, click the I agree button. Then click the Install button. Let's launch the editor by making sure that the Run Unity Hub checkbox is marked, and then click the Finish button. Once Unity Hub is open, you'll be required to sign in. This will validate your license of the engine as well as allow you to download a current version of the editor. Click the Sign In button. This will launch the Unity sign-in page in your default web browser. I personally sign in using my Gmail. Feel free to sign up and sign in with whatever way you feel most comfortable. Once you sign in, it should auto-direct you back to the Unity Hub application. If not, just look for it and click on it. If this is your first time opening the Unity Hub after signing in, you may or may not be presented with information on where you can find setup tutorials and additional information. Feel free to watch them for additional info on all aspects of the Unity. For now, click the Got It button. This will take us to a button prompting us to install our Unity editor. Click on it. Next, we're prompted to confirm that we'd like the personal license. So click the On the Agree and Get Personal Edition license button. This will begin to download your Unity editor. Once finished, you can click on your Unity version of the editor to see what additional features had been installed. Let's quickly run through what each of the tabs are for. The Projects tab displays all of your game projects. Currently it's empty because we have yet to create a project. Next, the Installs tab displays what engines you currently have installed. The Learn tab is a great resource to learn even more information on how to create games in Unity. Lastly, there's the Community tab, where you can find out more information on how to attain assets and information from the 3D community. Let's create our first project by clicking on the Projects tab. Then, in the upper right-hand corner, click on the New Project button to create a new project. Unity provides several templates for us to work from. We'd like to create a 3D game, so select the 3D Core option. This project will be used simply for testing, so for now it's fine to leave it as My Project. Next, click the Create Project button to start the project creation process. Once the project creation process is completed, your Unity editor will open. If your project doesn't open, just simply click on the My Project description within the project section and it'll open. Now that our editor is up and running, we need to set up the Visual Studio development environment that we'll later use to create the gameplay code. First, let's create the C# script. Right-click within the project folder. In the pop-up menu, select Create, then Folder. Name your folder Scripts. Double-click the recently created Scripts folder to enter within it. Right-click within the Scripts folder. In the pop-up menu, select Create, then C# script. Let's name our script Test. Notice when I double-click the script, nothing happens. The reason for this is we need to install the Visual Studio Code editor. Let's do that now. Let's begin by visiting the Visual Studio website at the following link. In the center of the page, under the Meet the Visual Studio Family section, locate the Download drop-down button that matches your current operating system. In this tutorial, we'll be downloading our version for PC, so let's click on the Download Visual Studio dropdown and select the Community 2022 version. This is a free and robust version of the Visual Studio environment. This will redirect you to a thank you page that will also display further instructions on how to edit and install Visual Studio. If you check the download location of your web browser, you should see that the Visual Studio Setup executable automatically downloaded. Double-click the executable to start the installation process. First, you'll be presented with the Visual Studio Installer setup window. Click Continue. Once the setup window has completed downloading the necessary setup files, the VS Components window will appear. Scroll down and select Game Development with Unity and Game Development with C++. If you plan to use this version of VS with other engines like Unreal, selecting the C++ option is very important. Then scroll up and select .NET. Now, the .NET Development Environment checkoff is important because this can add additional libraries that we may need later for other tutorials. In the bottom right-hand corner, click on the Install button to confirm and install our selection. Once completed, you'll be presented with a Done Installing pop-up. Click the OK button. It's generally a good idea to restart your system at this point. Locate and open your Unity Hub. Once open, on the left-hand side, click on the Projects tab. In the center, under the Project section, double-click the My Project name to open your project. Once open, let's ensure that Visual Studio is set up as your external coding environment. In the taskbar at the top, click on the Edit Menu button. Then, towards the bottom of the menu, select Preferences. This will open the Preferences window. On the left-hand side of the Preferences window, select External Tools. Then, on the right-hand side, under the External Script Editor window drop-down, select your version of Microsoft Visual Studio. As you can see, my version is set to 2022, but any version after 2019 will work. Also, we want to make sure that all of our project files are connected to Visual Studio. We do this by clicking on the Regenerate Project Files button. Click that now. Let's close the Preferences window and check if our test file now opens in Visual Studio. Locate and double-click the test file. This should open your copy of Visual Studio. Now, if this is your first time opening Visual Studio, you're going to receive some prompts. So if you're prompted to sign in, you can sign in, create an account, or for now, I'd like you to just click on Skip for Now. Next, select the color scheme that works best for you, then click the Start Visual Studio button. We know that our setup process is successful because in the top taskbar, we can see that the Attach to Unity appears. Though it's not necessary, but as a safety precaution, go ahead and click on that Attach to Unity button. This will ensure that Visual Studio is connected to Unity. That completes this tutorial on installing Unity and Visual Studio.